Hi guys, so I had a few questions and people were telling me that it was kind of confusing for my Vlogtober day 19 video, which was about the accident, and so I'm going to do it again. So Vlogtober day 19 was what happened that day, which it was called today, and on October 19th, Chris and I were going to call it an accident, but we got into an accident. Our car, we lost control in the car and skidded off, whatever you want to call it, off the road and into an embankment. Now, we were coming home from a trailer home park that's about like 30 minutes from our house. We've never been in this area, didn't even know it existed, so it was very, very new to us. And we took one way to get there, and we were taking another way back because it was supposed to be faster. And so we're taking this way back, and we're coming down a hill. And at the bottom of the hill, you could see that there was a turn afterwards. So I put my foot on the brake. It wasn't like I slammed on the brake or like anything like that. Just like you would normally put your foot on the brake to slow down for a turn or just to slow down, and our front tires just didn't grab any traction. Like, it's a front wheel drive car, so like that's where all your like traction and stuff comes from, and it didn't happen. It didn't grab traction, and we slowly started losing control of the car. And coming down, like, I realized if I were to have slammed on the brake and then the car were to start to turn, Chris would have ended up being really badly injured because there's trees everywhere there, and his side of the car would have hit a tree and he possibly could have some type of brain damage. So that's why like I decided not to do that, like slam on the brakes and just do any of that. So we ended up in the embankment, and it was like it was like 15 feet off the road where we landed. But I've down maybe 10, 12 feet down off, I don't know. I would have to show you pictures of where the car landed, like how far in the car was, but I don't have actual pictures of that. I have pictures of the embankment by itself.
I have pictures if you want me to.
Oh, Chris apparently has pictures. But like we've been just talking about it today, and it was scary. The whole thing was scary because this has been my first like anything. I've never been in an accident, never been pulled over, never nothing. So this was scary enough for me. And like the scariest part for me was like being the driver of it is totally different than being the passenger of it. And it's like I was scared because there was nothing I could do. I knew there was nothing I could do to like stop this situation from happening. Like, that was it. And then as we got farther down the road and I could see like where we were going, there's a train track that was like down in the embankment, and it was like maybe 2-3 feet off of where we were. Yeah. The car stopped. It was like 2 to 3 feet away from where we stopped, and my biggest fear was we were going to like either flip onto it or land on it and not be able to move or something, and it would be worse than what it was. That was like the scariest part for me. Chris's scariest part was... What was your scariest part? I'll scooch over so you can come in with me.
Scariest part for me was realizing that like there was a point where we were just coming to the bottom, like to turn, and turn was about at a 90-degree angle. Pretty close. Yeah, and we were coming to the turn. At the point where we came to the turn, I realized we didn't slow down at all. We, if anything, got faster. I realized, like, holy shit, we're not, there's no way. I have vision when we first started losing control that we were going to end up, like, kind of slowing down and stopping, probably on that grass, like 10 to 15 feet area of grass right off the road. I figured we'd probably end up there. But when we actually ended up down there, I realized that we weren't going to stop there. We were going to end up in that embankment. That was the scariest part for me, is realizing that we were going down.
And then I don't know if you guys can see, the only bumps and scrapes that we have is Chris has this nice cut. It's actually right here. on his forehead. He actually hit the windshield. Being his protective self, he tried to like dive in front of me. I don't know why, but he tried to dive in front of me to protect me. I guess from like more or less hitting the steering wheel, and ended up hitting his forehead on the windshield. But on me, all I pretty much have is a bruise. That's it, and it's on my leg. Otherwise, I don't really have anything. The only things like I can feel is like I've bad whiplash from like when we hit, like the impact of hitting, and like you jerk real bad. That was like my neck and my back. Chris's back was hurting, and his neck was hurting, and his elbow. I guess it's from hitting like the center console when we jerked. Well, when we hit. I don't know. His elbow just hurts. So there's no visual problems. Now, what was so weird about this is everyone that kept stopping was looking at us, and they're like, you know, that was me 2 weeks ago, that was me 2 months ago, that was me a year ago. And there had to be like 15 to 20 people that stopped to see if we needed help. And a guy that lives like 50 feet from where we were, it wasn't even that far. His house was so close it wasn't even funny. He kept coming and talking to us. But he was like, this happens all the time. He goes, whenever it rains, snows, he's like, that road becomes ice, and people land in this more times than they end up stopping. He's like, you know, we see this all the time. And like Chris and I were sitting there like, this happens all the time. Why isn't there like a guardrail? Why isn't there a like some type of like sand dune, or like even why isn't there like a better road put down? Because this wasn't like the good concrete or anything. This was just like the cheap crap that you put on like the really crappy back roads that like nobody takes. That's what you put. But this is a road that we've seen that like a lot of people were taking, and like while we were waiting on the side of the road, we saw like had to be like 6 or 7 people almost do what we did, and like their car just grabbed quicker than ours did. We even saw the cop almost slide out, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is like a death trap. And the cop asked us, he's like, do you need help? Do you need medical attention? And we're like, no. And the cop took like 30 minutes to get there. We're like, okay, 30 minutes for a cop, so we're looking at like an hour or two for an ambulance. And it took our tow truck driver like 2 hours to get there. Anyway, so we're like, this is horrendous. So no, we didn't get medical attention on the scene. And it was scary. And like I said, it was the first time that this has ever happened to me, so I didn't know what to do. I was freaking out, and Chris called the tow truck. Chris called his mom to let his mom know we were okay. The cop is asking me questions like, was I drinking this morning? Did I do any illegal activity? He asked me if there was something in the road that I swerved to get around. Like, he was asking me all these questions. He's like, has this ever happened to you before? But all in all, the cop was very nice. I mean, he was trying to be as nice as possible and calm me down. The guy that kept coming and talking to us, he was asking me if I wanted food, if I wanted something to drink. He ended up bringing me orange juice to calm me down, which was very nice of him. People across the street were just like, everyone was like coming and letting us know that this happens all the time. The only one weird thing is, there was people that lived like down the street a little bit that walked down the road to take a picture of where our car landed. And like, we're like, okay, maybe they're making like a scrapbook of like all the cars that land here. And like the lady just looked at us and she's like, we've seen farther. And I'm like, seen farther, like, and I guess she meant like farther in or down. I have no idea. It was crazy. So I just want to show you guys a quick picture of the car.
Let me get my phone real quick.
This is the picture of our car. And like I said, for as bad as it was down in the embankment, like, and how it was in there where you couldn't see the front end of the car, you would have thought it was so much worse. I mean, the cop even thought it was so much worse. And like the airbags didn't go off. So like, we obviously didn't hit that hard or that bad, which was really good. everything's probably just more like cosmetic that we need to do. You want to show them your picture?
And this is like a downward angle to give you an idea of like roughly how deep. I'm 6 foot. I'm 6'2", 6'1".
Yeah.
And like this, so this is at like my eye level, looking straight down. This is where we were. This is where the car was.
And like down where this, well, you see that like a telephone pole? That was where the passenger side of the car was, and it was like down in there very well. And on the other side is where like the driver's side was, and we hit it pretty good. We were in there pretty good. But what was I gonna say?
Here was car.
Yeah, more of the car. I mean, it looked bad. Even the cops said it looked bad. So like most of our damage is more like cosmetic than anything. So that it's not going to be that much to fix. And like Chris and I found like the good positive out of this. The best positive thing out of this whole accident, I mean the accident was terrible itself, but the positive of it was that Joey wasn't in the car with us. If Joey would have been in the car with us, it could have been so much worse. Like the damage to the car would have been the same, but we would probably have had to go into the hospital, and there would have been some type of thing with Joey that we'd have to look at. And I just want to say this because I know people are going to jump on it. It wouldn't have mattered if he was front facing, rear facing, or anything. There was no way he was escaping this accident without anything, no matter which way his car seat was facing. It's just like that's the positive, is that Joey wasn't in the car, and we are thankful every day that he wasn't in the car. So that is the clear up of what happened on the 19th. I hope you guys liked the video. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye guys.